Hey, it's David Farmer, and today we're going to talk about segments in Google Analytics. In previous videos, we've talked about UTM codes and how you can utilize UTM codes to monitor the traffic that's coming to your dealership's website. One of the great benefits of UTM codes is it allows you to segment out all of the traffic from individual sources, and you'll be able to utilize those segments across all of the different data that you can measure inside of Google Analytics. So, for example, if you are utilizing a third-party website that allows you to post your inventory, maybe it's AutoTrader, Cars.com, Car Gurus, and you really want to be able to isolate and identify the difference between those providers on what the traffic that's coming from those sites doing on your dealership's website. What behavior, what pages, are they looking at VDPs, SRPs, are they converting into leads? You're able to segment those customers from those different traffic sources by understanding how to build a segment in Google Analytics and then apply those to the different activities that you can measure. So let's go ahead and take a couple minutes and figure out just exactly how to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Google Analytics here. So first of all, let me just give you a little bit more context around what a segment is for Google Analytics. According to the support system for Google, a segment is a subset of your analytics data. For example, your entire set of users. One segment might be users from a particular country or city. Another segment might be users who purchased a particular line of products or who visited a particular part of your dealership's website. So with that said, in our example, we're going to look at the segment of users that have been referred from a third-party website so you can measure the success of the activities that they took while on your dealership's website. So inside of Google Analytics, you can go to really any area. We're going to focus on behavior. So here you're going to see right up on top that we have it segmented right now to see all users. But what we can do is we can segment the data that we're seeing here based on specific users, and we can do that by going into Add Segment. Now, as you can see in my example, I have some other segments that we've created and we've used previously on different websites. But we're going to go through the process of actually building a segment so it becomes, so you can understand exactly how to do it in your Google Analytics, because you're going to see some generic segments in your Google Analytics when you see it here, but you're not going to see the same ones that you're seeing on my screen right now. But from here, I can go into New Segment, and it's going to open up the ability for me to create this. Now, we're able to segment data by many different variables, including demographic information, age, gender, language, affinity category, in-market segments. This is all information that Google is tracking for all users that hit your dealership website where that Google Analytics code is firing. They're able to pick up age, gender, language, all of that information from individual users, and then you can see how these individual segments of customers might be interacting on your site. So you might want to look at and find how younger customers are using your website versus older customers are using your website. You have that availability by creating some segments based on this information. We can also do it based on technology. This is great for testing your website. So if you've noticed maybe a particular issue on your site and you want to find out how is that affecting users that maybe utilize different browsers or different device types, different operating systems, you can create segments by all of those characteristics and then go through the testing on your site, the reporting, and be able to see things like, is your bounce rate extra high for mobile users? If it is, maybe there's something happening on your mobile on a mobile device for your website. But in our case, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to traffic sources. And just like we talked in our UTM video, we have the ability to create UTM codes that we assign to landing page URLs for use in any type of traffic that might be coming into your dealership's website. That might be from advertisements, or it might even be from third-party sources. So they're going to want to make sure that they're utilizing UTM codes when they're sending you traffic. So you're going to be able to see that referral source and customers actually visiting from those websites. So in this case, if I went to source, I can go ahead and type let's say cars.com. So now cars.com is going to be that source. We can even make it a little bit shorter, just do cars. So we're catching both if they do cars.com or they do cars. Now, any customer that clicks on a link that includes that UTM code that has a UTM source parameter that includes cars, we're going to be able to identify and segment those users and then see what type of behavior, activity, conversions, goals, events that are taking place when those customers view your dealership's website. We can do exactly the same thing by selecting Auto Trader in that source area. Now, of course, if you wanted to track and create segments based on campaigns, medium, keywords, you can really get down to some detailed, granular levels of segments. But in this case, we're just going to use some pre-made segments that we have, one for cars, one for Auto Trader. Now, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this area here. Now, since I already have these created, all I need to do is apply them. So after you create your cars or Auto Trader or Car Gurus or KBB segments, to add them to any report up on top, if you go to add segment, you're going to see this is where we have them here. So I can go ahead and add cars. I can go ahead and add Auto Trader. And if I wanted to add any other segments, I could do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and click apply here, and that might take a minute or two to reconfigure that data. But another thing you might want to consider doing too is you can create segments based on people that converted into a lead versus people that did not convert into a lead. So you'd have a converted segment and a non-converted segment, and you'll be able to see the activity of each one of those groups. The goal would be to understand where maybe traffic is coming from, and you're able to see out of those different traffic sources, what's the percentage of converters. And if you see some trends like you're getting a high conversion rate and you're not maybe investing a whole lot in that traffic source, you might want to add some marketing dollars to increase that traffic source because it has a high conversion rate on your dealership's website. So in this case here, you can see that we're seeing the data for all users, Cars.com and Auto Trader. Now, it's a little bit hard to see the difference between Cars.com and Auto Trader in this graph because we're comparing it to all traffic. But what's cool about this view right here, now we can see page views, unique page views, average time on site, bounce rate, and the percentage of exit. So for example, page views, this is going to be every time that a page loaded on your site. Now that might mean that a customer is reloading the same page multiple times or coming back and viewing that same page multiple times. Unique page views is going to be regardless of how many times a page gets reloaded, how many different pages on your website. So in this case, you can see there's a big difference between unique page views between the two different vendors that we are looking for. You can also compare average time on site. You can see that this source right here, 51 seconds, is higher than what the average, the entire site averages, and it's a little bit higher than the competitor right there. Of course, you can look at the bounce rate and so on. Now, the bounce rate, just so you know, that is users that only visit one page on your dealership's website. So now this might not be a bad thing. I think that we as an industry have looked at a higher bounce rate as something that you don't want, but as long as you understand how this might be, how your user might be utilizing that one page, maybe that's all you want them to do is maybe you're utilizing a deep linked specials page and you don't expect that customer to go anyplace else. You expect them just to interact right on that one page. The way that Google Analytics is set up is as long as the customer visits that page, but doesn't subsequently go to another page on your site, and then that customer leaves, that is going to be considered a bounce, regardless of how long they spent on your site. Unless there is another activity, Google Analytics is not going to know how long that visit is. So every bounce is considered an average time on site of 0 because they don't have that second event to time that first event. So getting a little bit into the weeds there. But so as a recap, what we want to talk about today is how you can utilize Google Analytics to substantiate marketing dollars that you're spending with different traffic sources. In this case, we looked at third-party inventory websites, but you can segment your data any way that you want. Create a segment, apply it to any of the behavior, the acquisitions. You're able to look at different metrics, different dimensions inside of Google Analytics, and really use this information to guide your marketing decisions. I think one of the most important things having an understanding of Google Analytics will allow you to do is let the data guide your decisions. In the past, without having the data to guide our decisions, we're really kind of shooting from the hip in deciding, well, what do you think or how do you feel this vendor is doing for us? Do you feel like we are investing the proper amount of money, or should we consider canceling that product and maybe going with another? So instead of just going by your gut, we're saying use the data that's available. It's all available right inside of Google Analytics. I'm sure you already have it on your website, but having an understanding of how you can create a segment, apply it to the data, look at the data, review the data, and have it guide your decisions, I think it's a great way to go. We always appreciate your time watching our videos. If you found some value, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. You'll be notified every time that we upload new content to our YouTube channel. You're going to find this video along with many others at entice.com.